Okay, good.
All right, well, I will go ahead and start sharing. Oh, we have Lenny Christine joining us. I will go ahead and start sharing my screen. So begin. So I'm going to take you through the presentation that I feel you guys it will resonate with you most, is my presentation from that I did on behalf of Rotary at the COP28. And so it's I did this in conjunction with a group of SRAG folks out of Africa, Felix Kamani, and I feel that Felix is he's on continent, from the continent, and he's doing such great work. And he's working currently with fish farmers, and we're doing some stuff with him there in that. So I am grateful to be able to join here today and tell the story of the intersection of agriculture and climate change and economic development. My work has been funded primarily through donations and grants from the Walton Family Foundation, the Community Foundation, and other foundations and family offices around the world. So I always start with this video to give you an idea of what it looks like on the grand scale or on my scale, and then we'll conclude with some of the work that we are doing throughout. So let's begin with a video.
Angela Tenbrook is a fourth-generation farmer. On her farm, Worldwide Aquaponics in East Palatka, Florida, she carries on the family tradition of hydroponic and aquaponic farming.
I say 4 generations because starting with my great-grandfather, we began working inside of greenhouses. So for 4 generations, we've been working and farming differently.
Aquaponic farming takes advantage of the symbiotic relationship between fish and plants. The fish waste provides nutrients to the plants, and the plants filter and clean the water, which is then returned to the fish tanks.
We refer to our water inside of our greenhouses as soil water because we have all components that is needed for plants to grow in a very hospitable, beautiful environment all the time.
Utilizing controlled environments, aquaponics allows for crops of the highest quality to be grown from seed to harvest in as little as 30 days, with a fraction of the land and water needed for traditional farming. Being a closed-loop system means no effluent, fertilizers, or pesticides ever leaves the farm. This is very important to Angela because Worldwide Aquaponics is only a short walk away from the St. Johns River.
Phosphorus has the potential to harm this river. The way Angela is doing things, she doesn't have to pick a rate. She doesn't have to say, I want to apply 100 pounds of phosphorus per acre in order to make my potatoes productive. She gets to say, I'm going to produce phosphorus naturally through my fish waste, and I'm going to give my plants the opportunity to take up as much phosphorus as they want. And what they don't want to use will just get recycled back into the waste stream. And that is a beautiful model for our future.
She was able to shut down almost, 3.5 million gallons of water a day of discharge in the estuary. And that is hugely powerful. That affects everybody from right up through Hastings all the way up into Jacksonville and the estuaries all the way around Jacksonville and St. Johns River. Angela's aquaponics is groundbreaking in all senses of how she goes about it, the way she staffs it, to the way she cultivates the plants. She is basically restructuring the way you can utilize a property like this for a farm.
In 2013, Angela began work on a new project, Traders Hill Farm, which would utilize an abandoned chicken barn and repurpose it into a fully fledged aquaponics farm. Once described as a science fair project, Traders Hill Farm proved to be an unmitigated success, growing from a 5,000 unit production to 155,000 when she sold the business in 2017. In 2015, Angela founded the leading edge consultation company, Aqua Hortus, working with people worldwide to build or repurpose facilities and operate similar aquaponic systems.
Mottos that she's talking about all the time is feed the world.
And this is exactly what she is doing. When she sees that some people are short of resources, she thinks about how to get it to them, but not how to give them the supplies, but how to help them to create the supplies for themselves.
You know, we're able to teach people how to do things. It helps them to go on and teach another. This is a woman who has touched multiple countries across the world. Right? She's got over 200 aquaponics initiatives that she's been involved with everywhere from here in Florida to Prague to the British Virgin Islands.
Angela's passion for sustainability and community outreach cannot be overstated. In 2013, she launched the Center for Sustainable Agricultural Excellence and Conservation, or CSAEC, a nonprofit network of farmers working to develop and share best practices for more sustainable agriculture and increased access to fresh produce in underserved communities.
She's somebody who, when she sees a challenge, she's all ready to jump in and try to solve it, right? And so food insecurity in Northeast Florida, as it is throughout our country, is a significant issue. And so it makes sense to me that that would be a strong focus for Angela.
Told me, hey, I'm about to start this farm to door project, and I'm going to help people that need food. And I'm thinking, in the middle of a crisis, right? Her eyes are still to the North Star.
People that showed up in the middle of the pandemic to come together where everybody else was trying to stay far away from each other. This group of people came together and did some really, really great things. If that doesn't speak to somebody's character and their leadership qualities and their ability to inspire people, I don't know what does. It was an amazingly powerful act that I think really speaks to who Angela is as an individual.
Angela also serves as mayor of her adopted hometown, the beachside community of Marineland, Florida.
Marineland is the most remarkable place you'll ever live. It is 200 acres of native Florida, never been touched. It is along the ocean and along the river. So you are surrounded by pristine, level, class 2 waterways that are most amazing. You can live, work, and play there.
Whether Angela is at home in Northeast Florida or on the other side of the globe, she will continue her quest to end food insecurity.
As I close my eyes for the last time, I would be satisfied to know that millions of people didn't go hungry because of the work, my life's work. I would feel that I met my big, hairy, audacious goal that in the future, we don't have people going to bed starving or hungry. They have nutrition and they are properly nourished so that we can have a better world and a better planet. So let's talk about what it looks like today. So I took over a farm, this farm here in East Palatka, that was destroyed by a hurricane in 2018. It has the largest water permit behind Georgia Pacific on the St. Johns River. I'm allowed to pull up out of the aquifer 4 million gallons of water a day. I pull up about 100,000 currently. I'm currently have built phase 1. I'm currently raising money for phase 2. My farm is the drainage for all the up gradient flow farms that come to me, 10,000 acres of potato and broccoli and cabbage waste comes to me. So pollution flows to me on a regular. I have built a constructed wetlands that goes through my farm that before it hits the St. Johns River is not polluted. So it goes through a constructed wetlands. In this field that you see right here, we have built this series of flows, sheet flow movement. This farm saves 1.5 billion gallons of water a year. We have currently been, we run a deep water culture. So you saw NFT in the videos. NFT was what we were required to do by the university who began our project with us. I had worked in deep water culture, which is what I utilize today everywhere. We know it to work and work best. It's low energy, no energy, and we simply just require gravity to do it. So we have built a facility that allows us with the engineering and so forth to be able to do this. So my water consumption has gone from 4.3 million I still am allowed 4.3 million gallons of water a day to less than 100,000 a month. My effluent, I'm allowed to discharge waste into the river at 3 million gallons of water a day. We discharge nothing. And all of our fellow farmers who come to us, the water is cleaned before it hits the river. And so you may wonder, how does this have implications? As farmers grow and as the developing nations become more involved in controlled environment agriculture to save our immediate population and to repair our soil going forward, we have to think of new ways to do this with the least amount of pressure on our planet. So the East Palatka farm saves that 1.5 billion gallons and saves 1 billion gallons from going into the river that are polluted. So the amount of food that is produced at Worldwide Aquaponics is 20 acres in that 26,000 square foot greenhouse. It's a low-tech, completely passive design, and that is the facilities in which we build all over the world. We don't require all the energy that you see in many other controlled facilities. We have learned to use sawtooth design and have passive house pull. If you get your sawtooth design in your greenhouse as you build it large enough, it will actually suck air out, which pulls air through the insect screen, and it allows to have circulation. It's a physics principle that actually works very well, but you have to have the formula for how wide the opening is at your sawtooth to make sure it works. Many people are concerned about the heat that happens inside of the greenhouses. It's actually just the people who are affected. Generally, the plants are not, because you have so much water below. And so what we say is have your people harvest, in the early mornings or before, daylight. But sometimes that's not possible and it's not safe. And so we figured out different things that we can do to mitigate the amount of heat that a human feels while in there. So how do we work? We place farms in communities where poverty is most prevalent, and those farms are run by the communities. We don't come in and tell a community what they need. We only go where we're in. The benefits are that we place farmers in schools or near schools. We like to have educational entities next or in the area because it benefits the farmer as well as the school. And it allows the school to develop as a multiple opportunity location. The schools get the benefit of the science and the food because we do press in education with that. So we provide education that is easy to teach and use, and we help the teachers do that. The community gets the CSA benefit. In communities where this is already happening and they have energy, produce vending machines is what we place in there after the 3rd or 4th year, so that the farmers can simply just farm, and the vending machines actually let the farmers just press stuff into the coolers. So that's a really high-end opportunity. It's happening other places, not necessarily on the continent of Africa, but it is possible going forward. We also like to work with medical facilities because our products are what we consider low touch. So the manner in which we build allows the hospital to have the benefit of people who are immune compromised having highly cleaned environments, because none of our products have chemicals, and nor do they have a lot of human interaction. So we work in the Mississippi Delta. So as I told you, we began on the farm, on the grounds. So this is epicenter of poverty in the United States. If you look at Kahoma, Bolivar, Tallahatchie, these are the poorest communities in the United States. What we did here was it took me 18 months to gain the trust of the people in this community. And I was then funded by the Walton Family Foundation to bring our work to the Delta. And in this community that you see currently, we are producing for every farm that you see of this size. This farm is 2/3 of an acre currently, and it produces year-round food. Its soil was very, very much so like the soil that I encounter when I'm in Africa. And this gentleman that was here hand-tilled that lot. We went and took over and put the black ground cover on top of it, which is a wicking mat. And the wicking mat actually would fit inside the hippo roller and other places and it wicks the water across. We have irrigation on top. And then the water wicks across from the wells as well. So you can see that this is resembles what is known in the US as a victory garden. So it has tomatoes, okra, squash, cucumbers, peas, and this farm they chose watermelon. And then the opposite opposite time of year, they're growing greens. And everyone is involved in the community in getting the food out. At production, this farm is producing 50 kilograms a week of just that small spot of produce, and it's diversified amounts of produce. And so then we went in and taught the community how to build greenhouses. We built the greenhouse at the greenhouse you see below at the school. So the students get the opportunity to be able to see the science and the food of growing. The teachers get the opportunity to do the science, but they don't have the pressure of having to deal with managing the greenhouse. We put a farmer in place there. That farm is built from used materials, as we have done everywhere we go in the world. This is in South America in the jungle. This is the farm that we built in Bolivia. You can see the sawtooth design. These timbers and everything that you see were cut right there off the property, and the blocks were built right off the property's area. They have a block building group in the community, and so it allows for the group to be able to build things that are a little different. And so this is actually in the jungle of Bolivia, and you can see that the crops are diversified. This is actually, we left in July. We built it in 21 days. We left in July, and this is 45 days after we left the product. We are in Mangala, which is an IDP camp in South Sudan. Currently, when I was there was 40,000 people there. They had no electricity. The only water was from the well that was put in there with the group that I work with, the SSHCO, which is the hospital, a group out of the University of Florida, and the Buckeye Hospital Group out of Ohio. And on that property, we are putting in a farm. And there's a farmer that is all around, and there's a mill on the property. So we have taken the mill when it's not in space, using it as a seed house, and then pressing in products to grow in a push-pull mentality on the ground. And we're currently raising funds in global grants for this. They have latrines, they have a well, and I also work with them on a chicken farm that they have just recently built and are having great success at. The only well that is provided to the group of 40,000 people in the community is there at the location, and it is all Rotarians who are involved. So in South Sudan, this is actually the inside of the chicken house. We have very easily found these materials in Uganda, Kenya, South Sudan, in the Kanyo. These are all things that were built from inside the country. Everything that you see was within country. If you look in the picture in the back where you see me hoeing, that is the school. And then you can see the area behind is where we will be farming more than just sorghum and other grains. I brought in tools that they had not seen or utilized before, such as the hoe there. And we did some work there, and we brought in breadfruit, mango, and a couple of other trees for the community, because this was treed when the group came. But when the IDPs had to move from Jonglei because of the floods, they moved into this community. And the SSHCO trains, they do vaccinations, they do, and they have a maternity ward, so they deliver babies. And so these are people from the Dinka who are from South Sudan, who were from the Jonglei, but when they were flooded out, they had to move. And then they've had an influx recently. They're expecting upwards of 100,000 people to show up in the next 2 months because of the civil war and the other wars that are happening in kind of the region. While we realize that the Hamas and all of that war is a little bit further away, there are some implications for this community or this country in the Red Sea. So there is concern, and as it should be for many countries in Africa, regarding food security. So what can we do and how? So we know that there is a case for science-based decisions, which I know Chris talks about all the time. And it's very important. All of our facilities run on science-based decisions. So it develops better communities, it empowers a different mindsets, and it encourages more business. And so we like to talk about our facilities run using science. They're not hocus pocus. It's very important that we run we do science-based decision making. And so these facilities that we build are very thoroughly vetted. I come in the first time before we build, and I walk around the community, get to know people, talk to people, see what's available, so that when I get there, because I'm going to go to work and I'll be sitting on the ground putting that plumbing together and wherever I have to do it. And so I like to make sure what we have in country. So it allows us perhaps science-based decision making, and it allows us to be able to stand up facilities pretty quick. So the educational gives opportunity to people. So in the corner that you see where the young people are holding the birds, those birds are from the ETA project. So the ETA projects actually developed even further other industries for people. And so now you can stay at the ETA project CTC Center in Takwati to learn about, a variety of things. They have done a lot of work in community building in Takwati and Santa Cruz de la Sierra. The group that you see up top is the group that I work with. That's Juba Airport Rotary on the top left picture, with the gentleman sitting with the other Rotary outfit besides me. And then those are the folks who work at the SSHCO clinic developing midwives, birth workers, and so forth. On the bottom corner is the work that we did in the British Virgin Islands. After the hurricane, we stood up farming with waste and stuff that we found. And those are composting bins that they had readily available, and we just built them. This is an old facility in the middle, Cindy and CJ. We took an old facility that they had there in Delaware and built a facility. And then the women down below are USDA employees from Arkansas. And we show women how to build their buildings using, that's basically fence post. And we show them how to turn it and build the facilities out of fence post. So the whole facility can be built out of fence post as well as the deep water culture within. So all over the United States, we teach young people and build facilities all over for schools. And, so we go from pre-K to, high school. And so let's listen to what this community had to say in the Mississippi Delta about what we should do, what is needed for communities all over.
Despite slavery, despite things, you have still succeeded, still overcome challenges. You have that same DNA. You can do that as well. It's possible. Major challenges, it's still successful.
So I, one time a week, and sometimes with volunteers who work with me at my organization, come here and trade our labor, our work, for a car full of fresh produce that we then take into our community that we give away in our neighborhood. We have on the front lawn of our space what we call the community cart. It's a mutual aid space. So it's set up, it looks like a produce stand. It looks like a roadside produce stand. And everything we put on that is for anybody who wants it. So it is a free space. And so people give to the space, people take from the space. So it's a constant flow into it and out of it. For us, this actually started because of COVID. And in the very early months of COVID, you might remember that we had two things happen. One, became a quick issue for a lot of people who lost their jobs, lost their work. At the same time, we had local farmers who had this abundance of produce and they had nowhere to put it.
Just the dish of my godmother. Growing food, providing healthy food. Learning how to farm since 2011, 2012, like gardening and just learning how to grow food because I didn't know how to grow food. Even though, you know, I grew up in, my grandfather was a farmer, but he was a commodities farmer. And, you know, we had strawberry patches, peaches, and, you know, all of that type of stuff. But, you know, as kids, you don't really pay attention to that. You just going and just trying to get you some
plums, pear tree, a small garden. They made like wine and jams, and it was just a part of the culture. Just like people just knew how to do all of it because they came from the plantation and stuff. And then you go and just walk that neighborhood, you will see other people who got peach trees and plum trees and gardens. And at that time, there was still some integration between like human and the ground, and nature, and agriculture. And so how do we bring that back? How do we make that fun and cool or modern, you know, recognizing that agriculture looks very different. Where my food comes from that I mean. And so, you know, it's a real disconnect between, you know, nature, agriculture, how you get folks involved in the development of their community, developing the economic engine that drives everything. And for too long, it's been, you know, held up with just like, you know, certain people or certain groups or certain races. But at the same time, there hasn't been like a real push to just sit down and say like, okay, I can this neighborhood, I can this neighborhood, I can this neighborhood. We also need to be training the next generation of farmers too. And so there's a need for the workforce development to train folks to build new farms and the farms for the future, while also assisting on those ones who are here present. You know, where do you fit in this both? And how can we really chart a realistic plan how we're going to really improve and transform our community again? But at the same time, we also got to have real opportunities for folks to have like, you know, work-based training, to have mentors, but also most important, to get paid.
Yeah, just progress each year. At first, I borrowed a tiller. I had to borrow my uncle's tiller. Income coming in, but you know, I wanted to learn how to grow food. So I borrowed his tiller. Then the next year, we had my own tiller. Then I think the next year, I got a tractor, a small tractor, and it only lasted about a month. It's breaking down stuff. Nobody fix it. We're not gonna do that anymore. So this time I didn't get a used tractor. We got me a new, and we off to the races then. So you know, I officially have a tractor. I'm officially a farmer, but you know, I'm still learning how to grow food. Do your due diligence when you're buying a used tractor. I didn't know because I got a gas tractor. That's one of the types of tractors you could get is a gas tractor, but I didn't know that. People need to be taught how to grow their own food as well, and that's part of their education too. Because if we could, you know, be able to teach people how to grow their own food and how to prepare more healthier foods, then I think we'll have probably a healthier the food that's shipped in at home. You don't know how it's grown, what's in it, you know. But then like the local food, like if you go buy food from a local producer, you can go to that person's farm and see what implements they put in it to, you know, to grow it. And local tastes much better than the stuff that's coming in from, you know, Walmart and all that different stuff. Healthier community, food wise, and teach people how to build wealth, not only for themselves, but for the next generation. Owning land, having a farm on it, and growing your own food as well. I see other places
they run a farm and everybody works. They're able to generate an income. You know what I'm saying? So it can be done because people are doing it already. But why not more of people of color doing this? Working together. You have a task to do, and everybody just do the task that they're supposed to do. And everybody is earning an income for themselves from this farm, all working together and not fighting amongst themselves, things of that nature. So it's just we're getting that started for sure. It's just somebody they have to see more people of color doing this. It's hard work, but it's easy. Once you get your systems in place, it's easy work, but it is work, and you get satisfaction out of just being one with nature.
So what can we do? So you've seen the work that we've done, hearing from the people we've worked with. And what we found is that we needed to start on the ground. So we started on the ground with small and landless farmers who were using push-pull. Maybe they were using a HIPAA roller. And what we found is that we could actually take all of these types of farms and elevate what they were doing if we simply did the things of the information that the farmers just were talking about that we've been working with. You have to work together. You have to see it as a mission to accomplish something for the whole community. And you have to continue to innovate. That's the beauty of farming. And while we may not always have the resources to do that, with the communities we work with, we work to help them get those resources and mine them. And so we are pressing forward with this idea. So that's kind of where I end, and I'll stop sharing my screen. If you want to reach out to me, you can scan this information piece, this QR code, and it'll bring you to a site that lets you connect with me via phone, via text, via email, via Facebook, via LinkedIn. I hope you've enjoyed what we've done so far. And I look forward to working with all of you to make our world a better place. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'll stop sharing now. So
I just want to say thank you for all the incredible work that you have done and are continuing to do, especially with the emphasis on schools and education. As a former middle school science teacher that saw a lot of his students just breakfast and lunch eating bags of chips and snacks eating bags of chips, there need to be healthier options, local healthier options near all schools. And we are overdue for a call, but I would love to chat and help as much as I can.
Thank you so much. Now, I'd like to hear from the people who have different ideas. And so come on at me with it. Let's talk.
Hey, Angela, Scotty here, Hippo Roller. Having distributed over the course of 30-some years, 65,000 Hippo Rollers in 56 countries, subsistence farming is key, and I cannot wait to roll up my sleeve and work with you on how we can really deploy starter kits inside the Hippo Rollers as they are distributed throughout the world. So as you know, I am a big fan of your work and really looking forward to us figuring out a way how we can be part of your world and part of our world as we deploy this beautiful 24-gallon rollable water source. And I just thank you every day for what you do.
Yes, Scotty, I actually have already fit based upon your dimensions. And it looks like I can put, if I package everything correctly, I can actually, inside of your HIPAA roller, I can put a third of an acre of material, irrigation, seed, and then the only thing that I am having a hard time with is I want to be able to do a certain PSI. So we're going to have to figure out how to get it higher. So I need you to send me one, like we've talked about, because I have the material and I've been folding it up and seeing how I could fit it inside of one, because I have something similar on my farm.
Did you happen to receive the 3D model?
I
don't
did it.
know.
That's how I'm.
Your HIPAA roller is sitting up in my friend's place in New York in the back of his. I will do my best to get it down to you, but I will be, as you well know, in the month of May, traveling to all the water events. But we will absolutely give you your own HIPAA roller because I truly want to figure this out. We do want to break it down with its carbon footprint so we can figure out when it becomes carbon negative. The application of what we can put inside the HIPAA roller to have people things, obviously their own little farms will be magical. Also, we are working on a version of the HIPAA roller called the Dignity Cart, which enables people to take their produce, put it in the HIPAA roller, roll it to their location, and it elevates them off the ground. And it has a cart with a umbrella over the top of it, so they can sit and sell their merchandise to the public without, again, sitting on the dirt all day. So there's some really cool things happening in this space, and I know that working with you will only make the vision points more successful. So your request for a HIPAA roller has been sent to the North Pole. Santa is working on it as we speak. So hopefully we can get it to you ASAP, okay?
Well, actually, so I took it upon myself to do the dimensions and see what I could do. And so I saw you had a double hole. And so anyway, long story short, we'll off call. I'll tell you, we'll get together and talk about what I've come to as far as even the materials I bring, how we could do it with their display cart, how we could take and utilize that. And then those materials that they have, they would need a 3 HIPAA roller for their farm. So 2 of them would be a display, but they would also work as watering devices when they're not at the market.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely roll up our sleeves and take us off this call because there is so much work to be done. I want to introduce you to Sarah, who is the editor-in-chief of Rotary Africa, and get her very much into your world. I really look forward to working with you and figuring out a beautiful starter kit that works for the world. As you know, for those on the call, HIPAA rollers are given free. They are a beautiful polyethylene drum that again takes the burden of pouring water off the heads and shoulders of women and children who spend 200 million hours a day. It's water enslavement, and our goal is to emancipate that. It's a suffragette moment between those who can and those who will. Women who port and children who port water every day are simply some of the strongest human beings on this planet. And we need to recognize them and assist them where we can. But again, it's not a give them a fish, it's teach them to fish. So I love the way you think, Angela. So yeah, we're all in on your world, okay?
Thank you. Talk soon.
Good. Does anyone else have a question or suggestion?
The only way I'll be better is if you tell me what you really think.
Angela, this is Gloria. I'm in my sleepwear, so I cannot put on my video. I'm a member of Rotary Club of Arua. I've liked your presentation. It's very impressive. It's innovative. I'm just imagining that in Uganda, maybe that could be implemented in an institution like a secondary school or a health center, so that you can have the economies of scale and also to bring the maximum benefit to the institution. My only concern is maybe how expensive will that be? I'm just looking at the cost factor. But for affordability, I think it would be appropriate to work in an institution or in a health center. But that's very impressive.
We actually are working, we did the cost figures for a project in Nigeria in the last few days, and it's not cost prohibitive. We are doing a project for 40,000 people. in South Sudan, and it's only $65,000. So for 40,000 people, the farm, the wells, the solar power, everything, $265,000, which I know is an astronomical amount of money, but there's a lot of money coming from the UN to all African countries that we can help you access, that are coming from USAID and other places, that you can stack in grant funding to be able to do this. And it's most beneficial if we do it with healthcare and school institutions.
Yeah. Thank you.
I met with one of your.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
One more thing. I met with one of your parliamentarians while in Dubai, and they had money and interest. And so I said to them, I would reach out to the Rotary groups that we knew, because we only work with people that we trust. I quite frankly told her that.
Yeah.
And she said that the parliament would welcome this innovation and work. And so I have just depended upon Chris kind of as the Uganda guy to walk me in there. Like I depend on Felix for Kenya, and I depend on Jacob for South Sudan. So we work with people we trust.
Well, let me introduce Gloria a little bit. Gloria was one of the first women Rotarians from Uganda.
Nice.
Among her many degrees, one is a master's in agriculture from UC Davis in California. And she's worked with foot pumps and other work in agricultural extension. She's been an assistant district governor as well as president of her club. So Gloria is a better connection for Uganda than I am.
Oh, well, let's do it.
That's not hard, but.
I mean no disrespect to you at all. Please forgive me if that's the way it came across. I was just simply saying that within my club, these are the only people I know.
It's okay. I have taken I've scanned that. Yeah, what you put on the screen. So I'll get in touch with you.
Let's do it. And I'll send you once we do that, the parliamentarian that I met with, I actually have a picture of her.
Okay.
So we can see if she wants to push forward with the funding that she did receive funding while she was in Dubai from FAO or the World Bank, one of the two.
And the parliamentarian from Yumbe is also an agronomist in training. So her name is Avako Melsa, and she's very supportive of the Rotary Club activities in Yumbe, but I've never seen her work in agriculture. However, that's what her degrees are in.
Tom, do you have something?
Baidaa, were you going to say something?
Actually, I wanted to thank you for this presentation. Actually, you are an inspiring person. I am a person who learn a lot from your experience and about building your projects. I want to thank you for this presentation, and I want to tell you that you make a change in the world, especially when you are saving more than 1.5 billion gallon of water in your project. And actually, I want to thank you. I hope if I can learn more from your experience. Thank you.
And Angela, to tell you, Baidaa is in India and she's at a university. She's a Syrian nutritionist, but she works with a, what is it called?
I worked in 3 projects in Syria. as a health educator for the people who are suffering during the conflicts in Syria. I worked as a health educator during the conflicts in Syria.
Do you know Dr. Celine Klock? She is from Syria as well. CAU, if you can interview them, it would be a good connection for you. I will connect you.
Yeah, I hope that, but actually I don't know her. Yeah, please.
Yes, send me an email, and I will connect you as well.
All right.
Okay,
and,
thank you.
And Angela, I just put a connection to the Department of State refugee project in South Sudan. So that will be a few $1 million that they're trying to give away. They tend not to give it in smaller bundles than $2 to $3 million at a time but it's for refugees.
Yeah, I actually saw when you send that to the email,
Okay,
and then
good.
I actually said to Jacob and the group that I'm working with, let's check.
Good. And I haven't looked at the terms of it. I just looked at what it said. So could you give us an estimate of, so you said 28 days, and for a small demonstration project, say a third of an acre, a quarter of an acre, what would be the cost to get it up, and what would be the produce from it?
So which one would you like to do? Something do a HIPAA roll, or do you want to do a greenhouse? You know, what would you do? Because they're all different pricing. And so the important thing is that I actually have a materials list that I send to you, and you go to the local area hardware store type thing. In the South Sudan, we call it kanyo, and we source all the materials. Like for instance, the greenhouses in Nigeria, we looked at yesterday. Those greenhouses cost, it says 24 foot wide by 72 foot long, is estimated to be around $6,000. Then if we did 148 by 148, that's $10,000. The labor cost is around 2,000 to put it in. These are all US dollars. And then they're going to employ 15 people in that. And so what you can see that in that's just the external materials to build. And then we utilize additional steel and plastics within to build the insides. So we are looking at the project that we built in Bolivia, as an example, was 28,000 US dollars. But that covered everything. That was the insides, the building, everything you saw, including me and 2 of my team members flying over. And then what we did was we got Engineers Without Borders to send us 7 kids who wanted to do a summer with us in the jungle. And they did the ground prep before they got there. When we got there, we dug and did everybody worked together. We were able to put the facility up in basically 3-4 weeks. And then we were running water by the time we left. We get, for the facilities, the only thing that we have had to find was we had to get the 5,000 liter fish tanks, which is your 5,000 liter cistern holding. We cut holes in it in a very specific way. And then we do excuse me, I think it's a 200 liter small tank for the sump, and then PVC. And I can give you the materials list that you work through for everything. And what we found was that the metal and concrete was in the continent, on continent in Africa, was very easy to find. And people have experience in building the concrete. In South Sudan, we were building those chicken houses for around $25,000, $30,000, and they're metal concrete upon metal roof, and they're very rigid. we would not have to, spend that kind of money on a facility there. But the winds are something we have to overcome and make sure that we manage. And we did that successfully in Mississippi. All of our buildings withstand 100-mile-an-hour plus winds. So we build it with boulevards so that when they don't rack. And you may have seen the picture of me with my arms crossed in South Sudan, explaining how I wanted them to build the boulevards inside the roofs and inside the walls of the facilities. And so we really haven't had any problems getting the material on in country. The only thing that we did have a problem with was the air blowers. So I brought blowers with me. Otherwise, I've been using the pumps that we use for wells, the inline pumps, Chris. The Gwyphos will come to us, Gwyphos, or however you say it, Gwenfos, comes to us, and then we do an inline pump for the water within the system. And then I bring in an air blower system that allows for us to have aeration in the grow beds as well as in the fish tanks. And I generally travel with that with my tools. And so we haven't had any, that's the only thing we've generally brought. We as well have a Chinese associate that can get us stuff, into the continent easier than me coming from US and that sort of thing.
Yep, I suspect that's the way to go. Good.
Yeah, look,
who all would like the materials list? Would you raise your hand so I know whether to send it out generally? That's Jacob and Tom. Good. Yes, if you would send me the materials list, Angela, that'd be great.
So I'll send you a materials list for how you build a greenhouse. And then I'll send the materials list that's for the push-pull for the ground farm with irrigation. And that is much less expensive. In the US, it's costing us $5,000 for that with the irrigation, but we also, in that $5,000, are paying for it to be put down. So it's community, getting the community. See, what we find is that if the community works in the build, I don't have any problems with it. So I hire the people within the community to build the facilities so they know where the tubing is, they know where the plumbing is, they know how to, go through it with me. That's the most important things, because they're hearing me say, okay, this is a, male adapter. And they'll say, well, my male adapter's broken. Or, this is and I get them to talk my talk. So if we're WhatsApping, I say, okay, go to this. I bring extra materials too. Go to this container, box number 10, pull out that, you'll find that there. It's super scientific lean practice stuff. Whereas, everything is lined out. When we get to the site, I actually spend obsessive amounts of time lining up plumbing and lining up everything so everyone's on the same page about this is a T, this is a 90, this is because people don't talk about that kind of thing. They don't know, what it is. And so it's important that we all talk the same talk. And so it's just some of the things we do. But I will send you a materials list. What I'll do is I will send you a materials list that from our project in Bolivia that shows the insides. Basically, you're building a sawtooth greenhouse, and I have architectural renderings for that.
Fabulous. Let's see, and we're over time now. Does anyone have further questions? So Angela, this was a fabulous presentation. I'll record it and put it on our YouTube channel. But for your video, do you have the link to your video?
Yeah, if you will send to me, I think I actually have this presentation on a YouTube because Rotary, when we were in Dubai, had us do a lot of that sort of thing, so they could enter, when you entered the food hall, it would draw people to the booth.
Right, I looked for it on YouTube and didn't see it, so.
How do we find it?
I'll
Hold
write
on, give
to
me a
you.
second. Actually, if y'all will just indulge
Great.
me.
Yeah.
I'll give you a link.
And everyone saw Angela's email address.
Chris, you got any traveling coming up soon?
Here you go. Here is one of them. This is, so if you type in my name, that Woman of the Year video actually is longer than what you received. And then I'm doing, this is there's an integrated aquaponics, and then there's Education Day at the
Attends all of the others. And as a former Rotary exchange student, more years ago.
Here is the Education Day from from Dubai. And then here is, I know some of you wanted to hear the community vision conversation.
Things you still see.
Here is this.
Come challenges. You have that same DNA. You can do.
Attends all.
Despite slavery, despite things.
Here is, I actually did a presentation on pollution. And so this may be of interest to some of you.
We must change the way we farm. We must change the way in which we use water.
And you can see what upgradient flow looks like on my farm as far as pollution. Because on one of those, on the last video, it actually shows you that. But if you type in my name, there's the Woman of the Year video is 12 minutes long. So I've cut it and pasted. That's what you received in the first video. So I've tried to utilize it.
All right, well, thank you very much. This was most informative, and we'd love to plan to how to move ahead and combine our strengths and connections and possibilities.
As a bit of understanding, I will be on the continent. I am expecting, I know that I will be there June, July timeframe. I may be there in May. And so if you, I'm expecting possibly to go to South Sudan, possibly at end of May, and then into Kenya in June, July timeframe. So all of those things are, so I could be in the area if we're able to, it's easier to travel within country on the continent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get a East Africa pass that'll let you go into all countries, but good. Well, thank you very much. And this was extremely helpful, and appreciate your work.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share it. Thank you so much.
Okay. And next week we will have Scotty and Sarah with hippo rollers. And then the week after that, we will share this again with the people in Yumbe. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.